Watch what the Yaris does when I turn it off, and I've left the window down. It tells you I've left the window open. So that was the mistake I made in the I'll put the windows back up with the key. That was how all the water got into the MR2. Forgot to close the window. And there you go again, there's another display. Tells you the door's open. Don't have all this on an old car. Oh, hello and welcome to a North Wales side-by-side story. The story starts 4 weeks ago. Today's the night, what is today? 7th of October 2024. So, reel back 4 weeks. And it was the last time I used the MR2. I took it for a blast on a Monday, and I went to Llanrwst in it. Me and my mate went out in it whilst I was down there because he'd never been in it. And we spent all day just blasting around the Welsh lanes, having a whale of a time, wasting fuel and just having a laugh and a giggle. And then I came back and parked the car on the drive, and I thought nothing of it. I got home, the doors were open, put the roof up, closed the doors, and I went home. So let's skip the next three weeks, and I was going to use the car one Saturday. I was going to take the car down to my friend's farm and go and do some work on his farm. And then Margaret says, oh, do you mind if you give me a lift down to Conway on this particular Saturday? He says, no, not a problem. We'll take the Yaris. I'm going down to my friend Terry's, and I'll drop you in Conway, and you can meet your friend. You can go and have lunch, which is what she wanted to do, and I'll catch you about 6:30 when you get to work, because she was going to make her own way home. And what I was going to do then was go out in the car on the Sunday, take the MR2 for a blast. So the car's been sat for them 3 weeks, hadn't been used. So Margaret's been dropped off. I go to my friend's farm, finish at the farm, go and get changed and showered, and I go to work for 4:30 on the Saturday afternoon. Margaret was meant to turn up at 6:30. She never turned up. I'm now like, well, where is she? Is the bus running late? But I'd seen the bus, and Margaret never got off it. So I now try ringing her, didn't get an answer. 7 o'clock, she finally rings me, and she tells me what's happened. She's with paramedics, and I speak to Margaret for a little bit. Then she puts me onto the paramedic, who explains what's going on. And I said, shall I come and pick her up? And he said, no, we've got an ambulance coming, we'll take her to Bodelwyn. Fair enough. Spoke to Margaret again. Margaret said, nothing you can do, I'll meet you in the hospital after you finish work. That was a stressful night. And it transpires while she's walking through Conway, You've got to remember she's still on crutches from the car accident she had in January. Her left crutch slipped from underneath her, and as she went down she twisted her knee, dislocated the knee and went down. As she went down she hit her right shoulder, dislocating the right shoulder. I go to the hospital, sit with her till 4 o'clock, hoping to take her home. Doesn't happen. They've managed to get the shoulder back in, but they've not managed to manipulate the knee back into place. So they decide to keep her in and wait for orthopaedics to come and see her on the Sunday morning. So I left the hospital at 4, went back home, took the dog out for a walk, and then I got my head down. And I said to Margaret, I won't ring you in case things are happening in the hospital. You ring me when you're ready. She did ring me eventually around the 2 o'clock mark, and she says, they're going to let me out, but will you come and pick me up? Of course I'm going to pick you up. Well, Sunday, if that hadn't happened, I would have gone out in the MR2 on the Sunday, but I didn't go out in it. I didn't go anywhere near it, and I hadn't been anywhere near it for 3 weeks up until that point. So I then spend the entire week with Margaret, because now she needs help doing pretty much everything. Even getting up the stairs is a mammoth task. So Monday we go down to Llanrwst, go and see my friend, go and get some fruit and veg. Tuesday, Margaret says I've got hospital appointments, so we go to the hospital. We sit in the hospital. Time of appointment comes, time of appointment goes. Everybody else has been called in, and we're like, what's going on, Margaret? Oh, they must be running late, she says. And now she asks the lady, have you got me on the list? And the lady says, no, you're not on the list today, Margaret. Did you get an email to confirm the appointment? She says, yes, I did. So she gets her phone out, looks at the email. She looks at me, she gives me the phone, and I looked at the dates. It was the correct time. We were 24 hours early. The appointment was for the Wednesday. So we went out for dinner. I went to work at 5 o'clock on the Tuesday. We get up on the Wednesday. I take her back to the hospital on the correct day for the correct time. So that's now Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Got nowhere near the MR2. Thursday, I get a message on Facebook Messenger off a gentleman, no idea who he was, asking would it be okay if he comes up to have a look at the MR2. So I said, if you want to come and have a look at it, you're welcome. It's not quite finished. I'd like to paint it, and I haven't finished the interior, but mechanically I've done everything I can do to the car, and it's mechanically spot on. He goes, don't care, he says, I just want to come and have a look at your MR2. I've been following it on YouTube, and I'd like to buy an MR2, and I've taken a fancy to yours with everything you've done to it. And fair enough, you can come and have a look at it. So we arranged for him to come on Sunday, today, to have a look at the MR2. So I tell him 11 o'clock. Fair enough. I know. That was Thursday, but me and Margaret were out again on Thursday. We were out again on Friday, another hospital appointment. Saturday morning, Margaret and myself went to Manchester. Spent a couple of hours in Manchester, nice meal, come home. I go up to the MR2 now, which is parked on my dad's drive. Spend some time with my mum and dad. It's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I said, I'm going to work, see you later. I walk past the MR2 and I look at it and why has it got so much moisture in the car? I mean, the windows are absolutely covered in water. So I get the key, open the driver's door, and there must be 3 inches of water in the car. I'm like, oh, for God's sake, I really don't need this. Shut the car, and as I shut the car door, I realised I've left the flipping window open on the driver's door. Hadn't shut it. So the car's been sat outside on the drive with the window open. So it is absolutely soaked on the driver's side. So I go to work, get the shift out the way, get up early Sunday morning, get the wet vac out, knowing this gentleman's coming to have a look at the MR2. I hoovered about 20 litres of water out of the driver's side of the car. The carpets are still soaking rigging wet, but I've got all the standing water out. The gentleman turns up at about 20 past 11. I know we arranged for 11 o'clock, but unbeknown to me, he had sent me another message and he said, I'll be there at 11:30. Fair enough, he's let me know. I wasn't bothered, it gave me a bit more time to de-water the car. So he rocks up, and he rocks up in a Porsche, a really, really nice Porsche Boxster. And I mean, this thing is mint. Red calipers, freshly refurbed wheels, looks like the car had just been cut and polished. Beautiful interior, gorgeous new hood. I mean, the car is stunning, absolutely beautiful. And he comes up, has a look, and I'm in the workshop with my dad. And he introduces himself. And I throw him the keys. And I said to him, this car hasn't been started for 4 weeks. Told him I'd used it 4 weeks ago. Told him it had been sat on the drive ever since. And I said to him, I've just spent half an hour emptying all the water out of it, and explained to him I'd left the window open, and he wasn't bothered. He really, really wasn't bothered. So we spent a good half an hour going right through the MR2. Then he started it up, and I mean, we're talking a cold engine that's not been run for 4 weeks. And my MR2 always starts on the bottom, doesn't smoke because it's not an oil burner, which he was quite impressed with. 129,000 miles on the original engine, so it's a good one. It's had regular oil changes, which you've got to do to a 1CZ to stop the rings from carboning up. So I says to him, do you want to go out for a spin in it? You're quite welcome to take it for a spin. So I move it from where it's parked. He jumps in. I drive a couple of miles, says to him, have a go. You've come all this way, have a drive. Considering he's just got out of a mint Porsche Boxster that's just had 20 grand spent on it. It's just had the entire chassis, suspension, everything rebuilt. Shocks, springs, wishbones, ball joints, bushes, everything. £20,000 refurbing this car. It's a lot of money. It's pretty much what I've done to the MR2. Totally refurbed all the running gear. So we'd gone 45 minutes he drove the car for, and he drove it harder than I would ever drive it. I'm not bothered, but it was a bit unnerving because that is the very first time I've sat in the passenger seat. Get back to where I park it, and my dad's on the drive outside the workshop. I put it on the workshop, and he says to me, do you know what, I'm an impulsive person, he says. I would absolutely love to buy this car. And I went, why? It's a 24-year-old MR2. What's so special about it? Then he tells me, as much as he loves his Porsche, he doesn't want to daily it after spending that much money, but he wants an open-top sports car that he can daily. And my MR2 caught his eye on YouTube, and he's been watching over the last week or so all the YouTube videos I've done. But when he messaged me about it, I said, look, it's not finished. It's mechanically perfect, but it's still got some stuff I want to do to it. But he was happy with that. And just as he was leaving, he says to me, I'll tell you something now, he says, that MR2 of yours, he says, drives better than my Porsche does, he says. And I took a step back. I went, how can a Toyota drive better than a Porsche? He went, no, seriously, he says. There's better feel through the steering. It handles better. It rides better. And it's a comfier car to be in. And it's just a nicer driving experience. And that was not something I expected to come from a Porsche owner. And I said to him, look, I don't want you to impulsively buy this car, because you've already told me you make impulsive purchases. Will you go home and think about what you said to me, the fact that you want to buy this car? Go home, have a think about it, and let me know either way. And that's where we left it. Yeah, that's 4 weeks of MR2 ownership. Drive it, leave window open, not use it. Margaret has a tumble, never get to use it. When I go to check it, it's full of water, and he still wants to buy it. Yeah, that's quite amazing. And I'm going to take it as a compliment that somebody's complimented all the work I've done to it, and he says, I want that car in its condition that it's in now, not finished, because it drives so well. And I'm happy with that. And I've told him to go away, think about a price, and make me an offer. I wasn't intending to sell it, but everything's got its price, and if the price he offers is right, I'm going to let it go. I seriously will let it go, as much as I love the car. And it'd be a sad car to watch go, but what do you do if somebody makes you the right offer? Do you hang on to it? Am I going to put any more value on it, finishing it off? Probably not. But if somebody's happy with what they've experienced and they're going to make me an offer, and it's an offer I'm happy with, I'm sad to say Padfoot, the MR2, will go. But I'll keep you up to date whether he comes back with an offer, because I've got a price in mind considering what it cost me, how much I've spent on parts. I'm not even going to go into the labour side of it, because if I put my labour on it, it's going to be 10 grand, and nobody's going to give me 10 grand for a 24-year-old MR2. But I've got a price, I know what I'm willing to accept, and that's what I'll let it go for. If his offer's close or close-ish, I might just let him have it and put the money into another project for the channel. So you never know what might pop up on the channel in a couple of weeks. Could be anything, knowing me. But I know one thing, it won't be another two-seater sports car, because I've now got to consider Margaret, whether she can get in and out of whatever project car I buy, because it was originally bought, worked on, so me and Margaret could use it this year, but she had the accident and it stopped her even being able to access the car, which is a shame, because we were really looking forward to taking the MR2 up to Scotland this year together and enjoying it and having a road trip, but it didn't happen. So in hindsight, it probably is the best thing to do. Let her go and find something I can get Margaret into that we can road trip, but something interesting, something I can use on the channel and have another series, because we've done the Jimny, we've done the MR2, we've got all the YXE videos, we've got the Polaris videos, we've got the Yamaha Raptor Quad videos, we've got the tips and tricks videos, we've got Yaris 2020 videos. There's about 7 series of videos on the channel. It's time for something new. What it is, I don't know, but something's going to appear in the near future if the MR2 goes, or it might be me painting the MR2 over the winter and doing the interior. Either way, there will be videos on the MR2 over the winter, because if I keep her, I'd like to finish her, and if I do sell her next year, just before spring starts, best time to sell a open top sports car. But how much more value do I put on the car? I don't know. Or do I just go on then, take it, go and enjoy it. You've got no work to do to it, and let somebody else have some fun. So how do all good stories end? Well, they end with 2 words: the end. Please consider liking, please consider subscribing, and like and share the videos. Thanks very much for all your support, and good night.